Why do we have to wait until it's too late, where we realize that we need to start taking life serious? And I've came to realize that as people, we don't see the importance of personal development and giving our lives to God. And it is until we find ourselves in the darkest and deepest challenges where we start to see that now it is time for us to change. And it's so sad because of in that time where you find yourself in those darkest and deepest challenges, the only thing that you will want in that period of time or in that moment is to instantly move out of those challenges. And that's why we will be impatient with ourselves as we heal from the things that hurt us, as we make our way out of the things that actually destroyed our lives. And we'll actually be impatient with God as He will be working us through this journey of life. Hey friend, and welcome to the Unpack Show podcast with myself, Johannes Baloyi, and thank you for joining me because this is a place where we unpack the question we have in mind on the challenges we come across as we go about building and improving our lives. Friends, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you can be notified when we release a new episode. You know, observing our behavior has actually led me into asking myself that why do we have to wait until it's too late, where we realize that we need to start taking our life serious? It is until you fail in school where you start realizing that you need to take your education serious. It is until our parents die and pass away until we realize their value in our lives. It is until we lose our partners where we realize that they loved and cared for us. It is until someone commits suicide where we realize that people are going through a lot in life. It is until children start taking drugs, alcohol, even nyaope, where we start to realize that that child, something is wrong in their life. It is until someone dies where we start to show at their funeral how much we loved that person. It is until we are in our late 30s where we realize that we have wasted too much time on things that don't really matter. Why do we have to wait until it's too late, where we realize that we need to start taking life serious? And I've came to realize that as people, we don't see the importance of personal development and giving our lives to God. And it is until we find ourselves in the darkest and deepest challenges where we start to see that now it is time for us to change. And it's so sad because of in that time where you find yourself in those darkest and deepest challenges, the only thing that you will want in that period of time or in that moment is to instantly move out of those challenges. And that's why we will be impatient with ourselves as we heal from the things that hurt us, as we make our way out of the things that actually destroyed our lives. And we'll actually be impatient with God as He will be working us through this journey of life. And you know, looking at life, one thing that I see is that time waits for no man. If you want to do something, do it now because you are doing it for yourself. A lot of time we lie to ourselves and do things thinking that we are not doing those things for ourselves. I remember, growing up, and I think it's something that you may relate to, that from doing certain things, we don't listen to them. We don't normally listen to them. And I remember my parents used to tell me, used to rebuke me growing up. Focus on your education. Because of focus on your education, focus on your studies. you're not doing this for us. You're doing it for yourself. And I didn't see exactly what they were trying to tell me or what they were trying to show me. And it is until in that moment where I was facing difficulties in my education, where I even dropped out of school, where I was facing life as an independent, where I started to realize that actually my parents were right when they were saying to me that, Johannes, focus on your education because you are doing it for yourself. And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this, that there was a point in life when but we never listened to them. And it was until it was too late where we started to realize that our parents were actually right when they told us, do this thing and do it now because you are doing it for yourself. And that's why this week I want to come into your space to encourage us to say that let's take a 10 and do things differently. Taking a 10 may be that you've been living a life in a certain way. It hasn't been beneficial to your growth and what you want in life. And now it's time to take a 10 and do things differently. Perhaps you would see different results. A wise man once said that we do things the same way and expect different results. And that's so ridiculous because of if you expect a different result from doing something, you just have to change at how you do that thing. You just have to do things in a different way so that you can be able to get different results. Perhaps you were into business, you've been doing things the wrong way. The business hasn't been growing. And now it's time to take a close look and do things different. Take a 10 and do things in a different way. Perhaps you've been failing in school in your studies. Perhaps now it's time to take a 10 and do things different for the sake of different results. You've been in a relationship that hasn't been healthy. Perhaps now it's a time to take a 10 and do things differently for the sake of building a healthy relationship. Perhaps you have not been a good parent to your children and it hasn't been a very healthy relationship with children and parents. Perhaps now it's time to take a 10 and do things in a different way so that you can change the relationship you have with your children. Perhaps squabbles there and there, fights there and there. Perhaps now it's time to take a 10 and do things in a different way. No with the managers, with your superiors. Perhaps now it's time to take a 10 and do things differently. Because I started to realize that we live with anger, we live with rage, we live with hatred, we live with depression, we live with stress at the things that we are committed to or the things that we are doing in life. And it is until we take a 10 and do things differently where things will start to change. Because of all of us, at some point in life, we want to see our life in a different way. We want to see ourselves living a healthy life. We want to see ourselves achieving our goals. We want to see ourselves having beautiful relationships. We want to see ourselves living a more deeper and meaningful life. And for that to happen, you just have to take a close look at things, at how things are, and take a 10 and do things different. And I actually want to ask a question that what does it mean? What does personal development mean to you? Because in our culture as blacks, we don't normally talk about personal development. That's why a lot of us, when we hear the term personal development, we think of it as something that's so bombastic. We think of it as something that doesn't relate to our life. We think of it as something that is only being done by successful people. We think of it as something that is being done by certain people who live a certain lifestyle. But personal development, it's something that relates to our life. And it's something that fits to each and every person, something that each and every person can do it, irrespective of the level of life where you are. So today at work, we were having a workshop, a financial literacy workshop for consumers. It was brought by Nedbank. So during our workshop, there's something that the facilitator said, and they were talking about investments. So the facilitator said that, when we talk about investment, we have been thinking all along that investment, it's something that is being done by successful people, wealthy people who live a classy lifestyle. But right now, things have been put into a simple manner to a point that right now we understand that investment it's for everyone. So I'm actually mentioning this workshop with regards to what I'm talking about right now, which is personal development. That personal development is something that when we hear the term personal development, we think of successful people. We think that this thing it's the only thing, it's something that actually relates only to successful people. But the truth is, personal development relates to everyone. So, what does it mean to you, personal development? Because personal development simply means recognizing that you are the leader of your own life. And often personal development it is recognized by the people who know what they want in life. And to tell you what, back in the time when I was still in school, I didn't know how to read. I hated reading wholeheartedly. I just hated reading. I hated books. I didn't even know how to read. But right now, I'm the biggest fan of reading books. I read a lot of books. At this point, as I'm speaking, I think I've read about plus 50 books, because each and every single year, I I select a number of books that I'm going to read within that year, and sometimes I would finish those books and get introduced to certain books. Maybe I hear someone recommending a certain book and just buy it or download it and read that book. And when I look into my life right now compared to when I was still in school, hating reading, I think right now I've actually found who I am and what I want in life. And books have been a step ladder for me to move from where I am to where I want to go in life. And books are also exceptional. Books contain experience, because each and every person who wrote a book, they they actually wrote that book to share a certain experience. And I look at books like a roadmap, because book contain an information, knowledge, and wisdom of how to get to where you want to get and what it takes for you to get there. Because much like role models, coaches, mentors, these are the people who've already achieved what you want to achieve, and they are already at the other side of the river, and you are on the other side of the river, and you want to cross that river. So you want to know how to go about crossing the river. So that person, as they are at the other side of the river, they are able to show you and teach you how to get there, how to take every single little step to get there. So that's how I relate to books. That books are like a map. Someone wrote a book, an author wrote a book with a certain experience that relates to a certain area of your life. And when you read that book actually takes you from where you are to where you want to be. And also, it actually takes you step by step as to how to reach to where you want to go. And my top 5 books that took me from someone who didn't know what they want in life to right now being the person who knows what they want in life. Number 1, Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson, my favorite book. Number 2, Where Has My Ceiling Gone by Warren Vienman and Sally Ecost. Number 3, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, one of my favorite again. Number 4, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, another one. Number 5, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And even till to this day, I still listen to Robert Kiyosaki because I think he teaches a lot about finance. Because right now I'm at a point in life whereby I'm looking at investments. I'm at a point in life whereby I'm looking into the future. I'm looking at where I'm going. And as I am on chapter 1 of life, heading to chapter 10 of life, I'm asking myself that what am I doing right now to make sure that I secure chapter 10 of my life. That's why I'm saying that I'm still listening to Robert Kiyosaki till to this day, because of he still teaches me a lot about the world of finance. And when it comes to Who Moved My Cheese, I read this book every single year. Like at the middle of the year, I read Who Moved My Cheese, because Who Moved My Cheese, it's such a phenomenal book that talks about how to deal with change, both in personal life and also in business or professional life. Because of change, it's something that we go through. Say change, it's something that we encounter, either unexpected change or it's actually an expected change. Sometimes you can say you wanna get somewhere in life, so getting from transition from where you are to where you want to get in life, it's actually a transition. It's actually a change that is going to take place, and you need to be prepared to deal with that change. And also, when you say that or maybe something happens out of whatever reason and things starts to change, you actually need to know how to deal with that change. So this book, I think it's a book that actually equips me with knowledge on how to deal with change. And you may ask yourself the question that why do I say I read this book each and every single year? So I say that I read this book each and every single year because this book, it actually reminds me of how to deal with change, reminds me that change is something that happens in life and we need to be ready to deal with change. And these are the books that actually shed a light in my life. And speaking of shedding a light in my life, I have established the Unpack Show podcast based on a very simple statement. If you want to help change the lives of people, influence people to think different. The stories that we share on the Unpack Show podcast are those that actually influence you to think different. The books that you read, they play the very same role to actually influence you to think different. When you listen to a motivational speaker, as they speak, as they talk, as they share or deliver the message that they talk about, they actually influence you to think different. That's why I just built the Unpack Show podcast on this very simple statement. If you want to help change the lives of people, influence them to think different. And like I said, this is exactly the role that books play in our lives. They help to influence us to think differently. And the thing about life is that until you realize that you are in charge of your life, you will keep living in the same cycle of never getting anywhere. And as youth, the reason why we won't realize that we are living in a cycle of never getting anywhere is because we've got a lot of excuses that we use that actually distract us from realizing that we are in charge of our lives. We use excuses such as, I'm still young, I still need to enjoy my youth time. Excuses such as, I'm still under the shade of my parents, the responsibility of my parents, they're still taking care of me. Excuses such as, I don't have big responsibilities, so why take life serious? I still want to enjoy. So these are the excuses that we use, and it is until we grow to be independent adult where we start to realize that now it's time for us to take a stand. And unfortunately, when that happens, for a lot of us, it will be too late. It will be a mission impossible for us to be able to take a turn and do things differently. Mopedi Joe Maboja, right now, if I can tell you something, I listen to Joe Maboja every single morning. I listen to him because of honale pina engwe ya hae are o ya kae. Tsela e o e tshwereng ya bophelo e ho isa kae. Na tsela e o e tshwereng ke tsela ya nnete na? O ya kae. I'm relating to his words because this life, it's a journey. And one should ask him or herself that in this journey of life, the path that I'm walking, tsela e ke tshwereng e nkisa kae? Ke tsela ya nnete na? Because I've actually learned recently that people will come and go in our lives, and that doesn't matter. But here's what matters. The people who've been in your life, what kind of impact did they make while they were present in your life. Because we still young, we still gonna fall in love, probably fall out of love. We're still going to accumulate success, probably lose it. We're still gonna enjoy our the relationships with our parents. Probably there's a point where it's gonna end. You're still gonna enjoy or get a beautiful job and enjoy it. Probably it's gonna come to an end. You're gonna open a business, does well, enjoy life. Probably it's gonna end. But while that thing was still present in your life, what kind of impact has it made in your life? This is the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is for you to ask yourself that with this person who's in your life, either your wife, either your girlfriend, either your friend, either your parents, either your family, either your manager, either your colleagues, even the strangers, while they're still present in your life, let us ask ourselves this simple question. What kind of impact are they making in our life? Because of Ratsamaya, but as are they helping us to get there? Because of a lot of times we are so distracted by the people by longer, like they are not making an impact in our life. We are so distracted by the people by longer, they don't know what they want in life. I was making an example with my friend that life it's like driving a car. As you are driving a car, heading to a certain destination, you are so sober, and now you're looking at yourself that I need to get to where I'm going, so now I need to drive to get there. Then someone was like unwilling, drunk. They're driving, and then out of whatever reason, they bump into you. Now that person, that accident that they caused, it's going to delay you to get to your destination. Maybe you might be going to work. Maybe you might be going to a meeting. Maybe you might be going somewhere, wherever the destination might be. When someone bumps into your car making an accident, that accident it's going to delay you to get to where you want to go. The very same thing goes with life. If in life you've got a bunch of people who don't know what they want and where they are going in life, they are just drunk, they just live useless life. Those people, they are going to delay you reaching your destination. That's why sometimes someone you're so stressed, you're so depressed, and then whole level that stress it actually delays you reaching your destination. That's why mantswa a juma boja aure oya kai tsela yo tshwereng ke tsela ya nnete na. It should actually shed a light into our life to ask ourselves that the path that we are walking, the direction that we are taking, is it taking us exactly to where we want to go in life? Because of as youth, we make decisions out of emotions, we make decisions out of pleasure, and as a result, we keep destroying our lives. We are destroying our future. We are losing the important things in our lives because of we are making decisions out of pleasure, out of emotions. Today, as we speak, there are a lot of people who are in prison because of emotions and pleasure. A lot of people are in hospitals because of emotions and pleasure. A lot of people regret having children because of emotions and pleasure. A lot of people, they've lost the most important things in their lives because of emotions and pleasure. So let us try by all means. It's not easy, but it's something that we should try by all means to do. Let us stop being drunk by emotions and pleasure. Let us be clear about the things that we do and the direction that we are taking in life. Everything has to be for the purpose of us reaching our destination, of us living a meaningful life. My role model, Vusi Tembekwayo, on one of his interviews, said something phenomenal and interesting. His master told him that the quest to life, it's not about being perfect, but the quest to life, it's whether or not you're going to live a meaningful life. If God wanted us to live a perfect life, Modimo ka ba sa re fa a free will. Because of Modimo ka ba nyaka control or repeal a perfect life. But God gave us a free will to choose, to have a choice to choose what we want to do and what we don't want to do. But the quest to life, and this is the underlying, I think the underlying purpose of living is to make and to live a meaningful life. Each and every decision that we make, it has to be about the quest to life. And as we are still enjoying life, as we are still enjoying life, responsibility. As we are enjoying life, we should be careful as to who you hang around with, the places you show up to, and the things that you do. As we enjoy lefatshe, we are still young, we're still gonna get old. One day we're gonna reach 70 years. And when you get to that age of 70 years, when you look back into your life, will you smile and say, I've lived a meaningful life. I've made an impact into the lives of people. I've actually built this world to be a better place for those who are coming. Because of one thing that I'm learning currently in life is that though we are saying that we are living our own life, but what we should put in mind is that your life is not only yours. There's someone who's looking up to you secretly. I'm saying that my role model is Vusi Tembekwayo. Probably doesn't know that a guy named Johannes who's existing. He doesn't know that a guy like me, I can look up to him. But I'm looking up to him. And he's been a blueprint of the person I want to be and also how to get exactly to where I'm going. So I'm saying this because I want you to ask yourself a question that are you being a good example to those who are secretly and openly looking up to you? Because of whether we like it or not, people are looking up to us. And it's either people are looking up to us as an example of what is a miserable person or as an example of what is a good person and a good example of how to live life. And that's why I think what we are not taught about life is that it takes this period of being a youth to build our future. That's why here sa enjoy as youth, right? This is what you call the future. And that's why I think this 20s, the period of 20s, it's such a precious year, a precious period of time that we should treat and be glad and actually see ourselves being privileged to be in it, because of it takes this time to actually craft our lives and craft the future that we want. And we should use this time and this period of time carefully and very, very carefully, because of this time, it comes once. Once you pass it, you'll never get back. Because of when we get to our 30s, it's where life starts to be real. You have to move out of your home and go be independent. Your children are looking up to you as a provider. The cost of living is too high. You need to maintain your needs. And that's why we start to live with stress and depression, because of we have wasted a lot of time on the things that don't really matter. And that's why many of us, when we get to our 30s, like I say, we live with depression. And depression, this day and age, it's something that I like how it is. Not I like depression, but I like the fact that we talk about, because of a lot of people are being healed, a lot of people are able to come forward to seek help and get help. So whatever you do in life, make sure that it's for the purpose and for the sake of your own growth. So yeah, as you go about living your life, let's think of taking a turn and do things in a different way for us to get different results in life. So this is what we had for you this week on the Unpaid Show podcast. Unpacking the question you have in mind on the challenges we come across as we go about building and improving our lives. Till we meet on the next episode, Be blessed, be healthy, and as my role model Vusi Tembekwayo once said, have the spirit of the underdog. Goodbye.